All right, so we're talking about this idea of the soul. Last week, what we got into was we went, I think, pretty deep on physicalism and naturalism, right? And we were able to show deductive arguments why those are false. But we used deductive arguments, right? We used premises to a conclusion. Why do we use deductive arguments? Okay. Why do we use deductive arguments? Thank you. Yeah, remember with
Not valid.
yeah,
I mean, valid is, you have to validate one thing, but you get to the end result is
okay.
undeniable.
All right, you got to remember this. This is really important. When we're talking deductive arguments, you're going to either validate or invalidate them based on the certainty of your conclusion. When you have inductive arguments, you're going to base on whether the argument is strong or weak based on the probability of the conclusion. Are you following me? Here's why this is so big. An article came out this week where they're questioning whether or not dark matter exists. Now, dark matter is a huge part, makes up most of the universe. Science, cosmology has been teaching this for a long time, and they're basically talking about this part of the universe that doesn't really have electromagnetism and light functioning in it. It's a big part of it. So they've been telling us and teaching it in universities forever. And a study just came out from a university saying, taking into question whether it exists. Okay? And now I want you to think about that. What most of the people that aren't Christian, and even most Christians, I hate to say it, would think in their minds that science is something that's a better tool to get to truth than theology. Most Christians would think that way. What is it about science that people think is so great? Okay, let's say one thing is measurable. You're going to the scientific method where if you're able to observe, but there's a lot of science where there's no observations, like forensics. But why does that term just don't immediately strike with people something about more confidence than let's say, biblical truth? Why is that? Do you know what science is for? It's for falsification. It's not for verification. Science, they'll tell you, and everybody knows it who practices science, is the goal is when someone makes a claim is to see whether or not it's true. So you really try to look at it from falsification. And anything you end up deciding in science, you always preface it by saying, that's the current state today, right? You don't know if it will be the same way next month, next year, you don't know. So the level of certainty is not that high. I don't know if you ever thought about this. It really isn't. There's confidence because we think for some reason there's a step-by-step procedure or a process and you're methodical, and if you do the right things, you're disciplined, and it's going to help you to get to some truth that will validate a claim you made, right? You know what's way, way more powerful than science? Deductive logic. It's unfailable. The problem in our culture is we've been fooled into thinking science is right and logic isn't used anymore.